Hello, good evening, and welcome. If you're watching live, it is Saturday night. Unless you're watching from somewhere very far away from me, which I suppose then it could be Sunday morning. And for me, a Saturday night that is good would be one working or playing games, I suppose. I did consider playing games on today's stream. So if anyone ever wants to watch less game dev, more gameplay, I do plan to try to introduce those. Thank you, Alexis, for the follow. But yeah, I always do game dev streams to kind of show working on a game. But sometimes it might be fun to play a game together. I got a Path of Exile 2 not too long ago, and I want to play it some more. But there's that nagging feeling every time I go to play a game that I need to work on my own game. I need to get my own game further. So it's the constant push and pull between enjoying playing games and making games. And I think most of the time I like making games a little more than playing them. But there's definitely phases where I get maybe a little burnt out on a project, or it's not going as well as I want. Like I'm just getting stuck on some design challenge, and then the desire to play games kind of comes up and gets stronger. But yeah, popping open Unity here. We're going to be working on Trash Heist tonight. I just discovered that Restream lets me change titles and things, but it doesn't change like tags or all sorts of other little settings on the different platforms that I stream on. And so apologies if you've like ever come here looking for something that like I realized it was marked with UEFN for the longest time, which makes sense because sometimes people would drop in and ask if it was verse code. I was like, that's a weirdly specific thing, which is the language that Fortnite Creative, well, UEFN engine uses. So fix that at least on the Dev House Twitch channel. But yeah. So I didn't go through all of the, like, I didn't go through my YouTube because I restream on for both Something Special Games, which is my indie game studio. Oh God, that's so bright. Why do you need to open all white Unity? Like just a blanket of white color. That was really painful. But yeah, so I restream on multiple platforms under two game studios. One is my indie game studio, and the other is our client service game studio. We help other teams make games. We are building that's actually a nuanced question. I'll go wide first. So working on a multiplayer heist game. So this particular game is to be played with friends. You are raccoons performing a heist, and it's kind of Jackbox style, so party game style. Currently in pre-production. Some of this, anyone who's been watching my streams before will recognize. The art is significantly changing. That's because we are finally merging our art group's work and my engineering work that I've been doing. So it's mid transition, so it's looking kind of weird and hybrid, but it's getting closer to what the vision is. Minimalistic. If you ever played Ape Out, that game uses a similar inspiration and style. So yeah. I would say that would not be okay to do. No, we will stick with raccoons. Okay, let's go ahead and figure out what we're actually going to work on specifically tonight, because I kind of popped into the stream without a very specific plan in mind of exactly what we need to work on next. There's a million things to work on. So I think the last thing I was touching was the idea that you get to an objective and everybody has to perform a mini game. So that is like 80% done for like the first one. So let's continue that work. To do that, we need to open a second instance of Unity. Let's go. I think I made a note of specifically what needs to get done to finish out this feature set. Let me see if I can find that. Let's see. All of this is old. I can get rid of that. Let's put the new stuff in there. Kind of, sort of. Ariano, kind of, sort of. It's going to be mostly co-op. Like you're all part of the same heist crew. So it's going to be trying to get like whenever a mini game pops up, it's basically everyone kind of like all trying to do well in the mini game. My plan is think of like WarioWare, where it's like a very short like micro game, and everyone basically performs their own skill check more or less, and it averages out like it or adds together all of your points basically, and if you have enough points you succeed. So like a few people can carry, like if you have few people that are like doing really really good, but if everyone's doing poor you're going to fail, that kind of thing. Hey, Rosenbein. It was good. It was good. Yeah, I was surprised. Cidercade on a Friday night, I guess, makes sense to be busy, but it was like 30 degrees outside, so I figured it would be dead because it was super cold, and people wouldn't want to drive into the city and go play arcade games. But no, it was super super packed. We didn't have like a massive turnout for Game Developers of Dallas group, but we had a handful of folks come. And got to meet a few new people. And I played a bunch of pinball games. I'm not like much of a pinball guy, but this particular game has some inspirations from Plinko, which is a close cousin to pinball. So yeah, got some good inspiration there. Ariano, I think we're going to hit Steam for sure. We're going to also, I think this game would do well on like Game Pass. So I think Xbox would be another platform to target. I'm a Sony, like I love PlayStation. I grew up on PlayStation 1, and but I don't see this being as popular on that console, being like kind of a party game style. So I'd say Steam's like our primary platform, with maybe Xbox as a secondary. Yes, I am the pinball wizard. I actually was better than I thought. Like I always remember pinball being constantly a game where I am getting the ball falls exactly between the two flippers. But then like I was playing the other day and I was like, oh no, that like doesn't happen actually that all often. Maybe I was just bad as a kid. And so it was actually pretty fun. That Cidercade has a ton of pinball machines, like a crazy amount. And I think I played 6 or 7 different ones, and that was just like not even maybe a third of how many they have. So yeah. Okay, so let me zoom this in. This is what we need to do. So need to make objective pop-up modal and not award. Okay, so right now when you hit an objective in the game, like your avatar, your raccoon just goes over it, you automatically complete it. That now instead needs to pop up the modal, not actually give you the success. Mobile, so that's a good point that I should be more clear on. So mobile is already part of the game. So it's the reason why it can't be mobile is because the controller is your phone. So you use a large screen that you all can see. So like if you're playing in the living room or something, or on stream, like I could just cast this screen like you're seeing now, and then everyone's phone is their controller. This is kind of a weird screen you're seeing now, but it's just a placeholder mini game. But like Jackbox, you use your phone to play the game with everybody. So on mobile exclusively, it would be tough because then like where's the main screen that everybody looks. So I guess it is on mobile, just not as its like exclusive platform. Okay, so let's just start doing the things because that's more interesting than me talking about the things we're gonna do. So let's get this mini game thing going. Let me show you how this works. Instead of me building a mini game right out the gate, I just want to test this concept of like everyone gets a game on their phone to submit points to. So this is just a very, very simplistic roll for skill check, and you're rolling. And what's kind of neat, and I already hooked this up, is whenever it lands, whatever number it's on, that's the points you send to across the network to the host machine. And it replaces your existing one. Now, if it's your first roll, it makes a new entry. But if you can like basically keep trying to get more points, and everyone's doing that. So there's a bit of a like interesting risk reward if you're seeing that you like don't have cumulatively enough points and you rolled a 6 out of 9. You're like, should I roll again? Maybe I could get a 7 or an 8, maybe even a 9. 6 is pretty good. You roll again and you get a 5. Well, shoot, now I have less points. And so you're like kind of debating if you want to keep rolling, or if you want to hold on to your points. And hopefully you're communicating with the other players and like finding out who should be re-rolling. Obviously, if like a 1 or a 0, then you should re-roll. A 7, you probably don't want to re-roll. That'll probably make more sense once you see the pop-up, which I did a little debug. So I think I can just kind of show this concept. I wonder why, like maybe YouTube doesn't generate the little stream avatars. I just noticed that you didn't get one, Ariana. It's kind of weird. Maybe only Twitch. Yeah, kind of like blackjack. You can't really like go over, but it is sort of like a, hey, should I keep rolling or not? So yeah, I think blackjack is a good analogy. Okay. Where is my little debug button? Let me switch to a different view so y'all can see me hunt this down. I have not opened this project in a couple days, and it's surprising how it takes my brain a minute to catch back up. Player spawning logic. No. Minigame logic. Okay, so is my little debug button. Oh, why is it massive? Oh god, that did not scale well. That is so bad. Okay, well, pretend that doesn't look horrible. We have... Oh, I know why. Okay, let me fix this. This is... Okay, that's actually not why. I thought it was because it was free aspect and not 60x9. That is so weird. Well, whenever I designed it, I did something wrong. But we have this blue bar on the bottom. That is how much time you have left to complete the objective. This bar that should say task progress, but it's all shifted, is how you're doing. I have this little button that I can give a fake point to. So I could say like player 3 gets 7 points. I'll switch to those screens. You can see when I hit invoke, we get some points. And if we get enough, I'd have to keep giving people points. I don't know if I'll get them in time. We can just see as I'm going through, like player 5, 9 points, player 6, 9 points. It's like everyone's rolling perfect. It's going so good. Success. And then we get the points in the game, and we check off the box and everything progresses. Yeah, you know what? I would have also picked a D20 Rosenvine, but like I used a package from the Unity Asset Store, and it had a D6 and a D10, and those were my two options. So, yeah, it's kind of a cool little plugin though they made. Oh yeah, I have Zoom now. I really like the feeling of Zoom when the player gets their turn. But it's a neat little plugin. It plays a 2D animation of like a dice spinning, and it lands like there's just a bunch of animation versions where it'll land on the number that it's supposed to be. So it's kind of a nice, simple little tool. I was trying to think like what's the fastest way I could make a quick dice roll that looked engaging, and buying it for $5 was the answer. Because like I could just print a number, but like that wouldn't be as cool. I don't know. There's something about the animation that's fun. Okay, so back to making things happen and not just showing things. We need to get the objective to trigger the pop-up. Though before that, we saw how horrible that pop-up looked. Let's fix that because that was horrible. So bad. The question is where you be? Wednesday panel. Is the canvas off? Canvas is off. Okay, and then there we go. Which of the many parts is scope creep? Because the answer to that is yes, always too much scope. But I didn't work on oh, well, I'm fixing this, but it looks bad. Like you can't tell what it is. I gotta fix it. But I'm proud of myself for not reinventing the wheel and making an animated dice on my own, just spending $5. Because it's like there's no way that game is going to make it into the final shipping product. Like roll the dice is like not a fun digital game. Okay, I feel like since I used to do development full time, like now I run a game studio, so engineering is a portion of my time, more so lately because of Trash Heist. But there was a big gap where I was like doing all businessy stuff. Before that, I felt like I got really good at Unity UI. Now I feel like I've just like forgotten how to anchor things well because like this stuff happens kind of a lot, and I'm kind of annoyed by it. So right now it's not scaling right. It's anchored to the bottom, and it's not scaling based on width or anything. So first let's make sure our canvas is set to, okay. This is a thing you never want to do in your canvases. The constant pixel size always just is bad news. You want to scale with screen size. Now it actually looks closer to what I did when I first designed it, but now we should be able to fix it, and it actually should behave closer. I think that's what the problem was. Okay, let's start tightening things up in here. Because now the whole thing should scale proportionally, and I don't need to make every single element scale. Where's a time left text? So like we were talking about on the GDOD Discord, I'm going to attempt to do 3 hours tonight. I almost didn't start because I was like, I don't know if I can mentally engage for 3 hours into, because it's like I'm not a very social person. Like I kind of keep to myself. So I don't talk for 3 hours. Like that's weird to talk for this long. I think that's the hardest part. It's not the engineering. It's the like communicating for 3 hours. It's a long time. But I'm going to try because I want to make this stream better. And I do agree that makes sense, that you'd want enough time for people to get engaged. This is like super chunky. Monologue about like really boring business stuff. Our mission, I think, is actually not boring. So like what I wanted to do with Something Special Games is like any game we make impacts people, which sounds generic, but like I forget exactly how it's written and wording, but like it's not just, oh, it's a fun game and I had fun. It's like after you play it, you like come back different. You're like, okay, I played that and like, damn. Which is crazy for Trash Heist to be in that because it's a fun party game. But there is other stuff happening in the game, story-wise, and it's going to be kind of an unpacking style thing where like unpacking looks like, oh, it's just we're organizing stuff. Like that's kind of a fun, mindless puzzle game. But then like you play unpacking and you realize like you're following this person's story and you're like kind of learning about their life and like their tragedies and their successes and it becomes a much deeper game that sticks with you. And that's what I want to do. And I accidentally did just monologue about my company mission. Accidentally. GDC mug. I just realized I'm very prominently promoting it in the stream, which is coming up in a few weeks. I'm trying to drink tea because I drink a lot of less healthy caffeine. I had a Celsius earlier and sodas before that. No coffee today though. Okay, this text is massive. Let's not make this so massive. Everyone, complete the heist task. Oh. Is it good? Do you like Taiwanese tea? I wonder if that's very different than other regional teas. Whenever I think of like regional teas, I just think of like Europe and Earl Grey. Like I just think like it feels like the boringest of teas, but it's fine. Like Earl Grey tea is fine. Green tea's good. This tea we got, it was really weird. And the one I'm drinking now, I think I put the tea bag wrapper away, but it was a restaurant we went to here in Dallas, and like after they brought the check, they like brought like custom tea bags that they like make the tea in house, and I was like, that's cool. And it's good. It's kind of like fruity a little bit, but it has a bit of caffeine in it, which is nice. I'm trying to get like the hierarchy right, so everyone is biggest. Is that made up? Are you making up a game that is like the game I'm trying to make? Did this game already get made? I'm gonna look it up right now. Trash the Planet game. Oh my god, this raccoon is so terrifying. Oh, it's an idler. Okay. Interesting. Oh, there's a scenario. There's like a very creepy vibe to this game. Something about like the like muted grays, and the raccoons always seem very creepy. Like, what's he doing? Being creepy. Okie dokie. Okay, I'll have to play this one to fully engage into it later. Okay, let me minimize that. Yeah, so like that's a good example though. Like you said, it's so there's something more. It's not just like, oh yeah, it's an idle game. It's fun. You click in your raccoons and it's silly or something. Like there's a deeper meaning behind it. I think the other thing is there's a lot of, maybe not a lot, but there's a good number of games that like try to send a message, but I think it's just kind of like heavy and it's like hard to make those. Sometimes they're not very enjoyable to play. It's like, okay, that's a cool message, but like the game isn't fun. Like I don't want to come home and play that game necessarily. And so my goal is like to have it be a really fun game, but also deliver a message. So I think Supergiant does this really well. Like their games lean a little more on the fun side, but like if you play all the way through Bastion, you play all the way through Transistor, like those games like stick with you. Like it doesn't have to be some like super deep philosophical or political message, but like they connect, and like at least for me, like I definitely felt like those games left an impression on me, and I really like them. Wild Mender, another great game. I'm gonna write these down so I remember to look them up more later. Wild Mender. But yeah, Supergiant is like kind of my like I wouldn't say Supergiant's games are even in my maybe top 10 of all time. I don't know like if if any of them make it in my top 10 all-time favorite games, but if I had to pick one studio that like I love is Supergiant, just because like they consistently make just such good stuff. Like obviously Hades is amazing. But Hades, as polished and fun as it is not my favorite Supergiant game. I would probably say it's probably Transistor. Bastion was really good. Transistor was a slower burn. Like I didn't hit it as strong off the bat as Bastion. But like as I got into it, it stuck with me even more. Okay. So this is kind of hard to read. Maybe I'll change this to green or something. I'm not an artist. I'm bad at this. Like when it comes to color and font and UI design, I am just so bad. I'm just gonna leave it white. This is where I'm grateful that I'm not purely a solo dev. Like I have a team and I can be like, hey, artists, make this cool. Yeah. Like I'm pretty good as a creative director where an artist delivers something and I can give feedback and direct, but like making the art myself from nothing, like I'm just not, that's not something I'm good at. That is just so big. It's just gross. I don't like, let's like make this whole panel smaller. It's just aggressive. We do have to now adjust everything else, but I think it's worth it. It was just offensively big. There's something about UI that I feel like is harder for my brain to hand like to determine what looks really good than other types of art. I don't know why. Because yeah, I really struggle with UI. Most of the time I just accept that I'm bad at it and I don't put that much time into it and I wait for an artist to come help me. But even this one, like I'm not putting too much time into it. Like I don't consider this a lot of time. Um like if I was the artist making, or like when I work with an artist and I'm like, hey, make this screen, like I would expect it to be like a good chunk of a day if this is like the final asset and not like a 30-minute effort. You need to come down a little. Your font is too big. I think like why this was looking bad is because the curve, our inner pieces are going out past the edge of the curve. So like we should bring that in. Basically making margins. Okay, and then here we want to think about like priority. So like how much time you have left is important, but it's not the fun bit of information. And if you play like the WarioWare games, you'll notice there's like they all have like that timer, but it's like kind of smallish on the bottom. Where the heck is the time left text? Subtitle text, time left text. Okay. I did name it. I just didn't read. Because I think it's more exciting to see number go up than number go down. And so we want number go up bigger. We could also turn this red as a fill bar. Just to make it seem more bad. When numbers go down soon? I don't think I know what you mean. I always feel like we want, like, it's fun to... I think with like Vampire Survivor game or Survivor-like games, right? It's like you just want to keep doing more, higher, bigger damage. Okay, and then it's getting closer. I'm getting happier with this screen. Pressure, yeah, I mean pressure is definitely important. I see what you mean. Yeah, when it's going down fast, that can be exciting. All right, as far as a really boring screen that just has two fill bars, I think this can do. Maybe our title text could be a little smaller and the subtitles smaller still. Maybe they should be a different color. Maybe. All right, I think I can live with that design. Now, hopefully it stays looking like that. Yeah, I'm definitely hoping suspense is gonna play a part as this comes down and people are rolling the dice. It's like, oh, people roll again. We'll see though. This is one of those things that like I really want to play test to get a good sense of. What am I doing here? It bothers me that is sticking out, even though it's going to be centered anyway. Let's just contain it. Okay. Cool. So now it'll look something like that. And I think that is much better than it was before. But now I'm catching myself wanting to fiddle with it a little. I think let's bring these two up just a touch. We don't quite have enough margin on the bottom. We might even be able to make our bottom meter a little skinnier still. And that leaves us room to bring it back down a little more, give some more space. Okay, cool. Everyone, complete the heist task. So that's fixed. Now back to what we were trying to do before we discovered that was busted. We need to make the objective pop up the modal. Okay, so when we run over the objective, it should pop open this modal. Let's go back here. I was at a Target today getting some groceries, and I noticed that they had magic in stock. The last couple times I've looked, the shelves were barren, but it was all the most recent set, which are things like Ether Drift or something like that, and it's like a race themed set. I'm not super into like cars or racing, so I've been wanting to buy Magic again, but I was like, if I'm gonna buy it, I think I'd rather buy like an older set because I'm not vibing on this. Okay, so it's brand new. Okay, maybe that's why I was like totally like the shelves were bare when I looked before. I might have caught it like right on release or something. But yeah, not really vibing on it. I kind of want to get the one that has like little woodland creatures. I think it's like something or other. I read Redwall a lot as a kid. Bloomborough, yeah. I think I would enjoy that one. So I might Amazon that or something, or go to a proper store for buying cards other than Target. It feels like sacrilege to like buy nerdy stuff at a Target, but it's convenient. Okay, let's minimize this. The way we handle the canvas is gonna have hiding, instead of turning the game object off, we just disable their canvas. That keeps their logic running, which sometimes is helpful. Cool, so we don't see it no more. Now I'm gonna click into some objectives. Actually back over here. And I was like, why can't I see anything? There we go. Where, what city is Cards HQ in? I live like south of Dallas, so I'm kind of like out of the way of most interesting things here in DFW. Oh, that's helpful though. I don't have to physically go somewhere, I suppose. I don't know why it feels weird. Maybe just because like I bought Magic cards as a kid, and so my brain just thinks I need to go physically somewhere. I was gonna buy the Cloud Commander deck, the Final Fantasy VII Commander deck, and I put it in my Amazon cart, and then I got distracted with work, and then like a day later, I was like, oh yeah, I should go buy that, and then it was sold out. It's like, oh, ooh, okay, I might do that. I might go buy one of those. I think that'd be fun. I kind of wanted to do a monocolor deck. Everyone else is doing like multicolor, and like I like doing weird things. Like I like being abnormal in like builds and games. So like in MMOs and stuff, like I don't like to figure out what the best min-max build is, or like Diablo and stuff. Like I like to make something that has like a very specific personality, and I think mono decks are easier to do that. Maybe, I don't know. It's been years since I've really played Magic, but I kind of want to build a mono deck. Uh, there isn't. That's okay. I kind of want to make my own deck. I don't know if I need or want a precon. I might get a precon just to have like a big bulk of cards at once, unless there's a better way to do that. But like, I kind of want to make my own deck, and I want to make it after like some weird concept that like is only fun to me and probably sucks and will lose, but I'll have fun playing it. Mm-mm. But everyone's playing Commander at the office, so I got to build a Commander deck. Even though I don't like the idea of a massive, it's like 100 cards or something. It's like so much. I don't want a deck that big. Okay, I'm getting totally distracted talking about Magic. Limited any work. That's not true. I did the UI. What do I need to do here? I need to go to an objective. 3x balls. That's 3 more balls. Where are my objectives at? They're the stars. You know what's funny is I had a Tupperware container full of just like junk Magic cards. I say just because I had people who play the game like look through them like I don't want any of these even for free, and should have like probably just kept them, but I don't even know what happened to them. But yeah, like no one wanted them because they were bad. I think it'd be fun to open fresh packs. Like I think I'm looking forward to like that nostalgia of like opening the packs. So I appreciate that though. I might change my mind, and if I change my mind, I will let you know. But if you ever want to play in-person games, we do games at the Dev House office now and again. Since you're a Dallasite, but yeah, I'm sure we'll do like events too for Magic in the near future for GDOD. Okay, objectives. There is logic somewhere on this script. Score object. Heist trigger zone. The play booster boxes. What's a play booster box? Is that just like a whole bunch of boosters where I can just like open a bunch of packs? I'm gonna have to buy. I might have to like buy one-off lands, just get enough lands. Nice. Okay. Yeah, I'm totally. All right. I'm gonna be bad and spend 30 seconds looking up card HQ. And then we want to go under. Damn, that's cold. They don't even have magic listed there yet. Oh, there it is. Okay, I was gonna say, like, that's surprising. Sort by. Can I search Bloomberg? Bloomberg. That is something else. Yeah, so I get this commander deck, but it's probably, what colors are we? Red and green. I do like those two colors, but I do like the idea of building my own. God, I like on stream, it really bothers me when things aren't dark mode. Like the white is just so glaring. Here's a, oh my God, $150. So that's me. So that's a real commitment there that I gotta. I totally want to play Matt though. I might spend some money. I might get some stuff. But I feel like there's probably like all sorts of third party like off brands for some cool play mats. That's the word I was looking for. So I could get the starter kit. Is this color based? Doesn't look like it is. 2 decks. Well, I guess there would have to be some concept of color in here. It makes me think it's blue just because there's water on the front, but maybe not. That isn't Commander. Yeah. But isn't Commander just a matter of like having a like a big deck and then like one card that you consider your commander? Does it like, it's 2 standard decks? Yeah. But I just want like enough cards to make a commander deck out of. Like I'm thinking, because this one's on it's only on sale $5, like maybe getting a commander deck and then also getting a booster box, so I don't have to like, because I don't want to use whatever that precon is. Like I want to make my own, but I need a commander, right? Like singleton, so one of each card. Yeah, I did. See, I don't even know if I like commander. That's what everyone at the office is playing. Mm-mm. This is interesting. It's a pre-release, but it's been out, so this is just, I guess, old. It's a cool box though. I might totally buy this. Is it possible to get a commander's a legendary creature? They all have to share a commander's color identity. Are there mono commanders? Like, is that like super rare? Like, are almost all commanders multicolored? Damn. Why do I gotta be weird and like the idea of a single color? I think it's just because like when I started playing Magic, that was like the norm. Maybe just because that wasn't Commander, but it was like, yeah, you pick a color, and if you're like kind of weird, you do 2 colors, and then if you're like crazy, you do a rainbow, and like, yeah. So I think I'm just used to mono. Okay, well I'm gonna keep this open and minimize it. Much cheaper to do mono white. Oh, monocolor. Okay, so they do exist. So like there's some commanders that are mono, but it's just not as common, I guess. I could probably look up like which Bloomborough commanders are mono, if any. Is it possible to find a commander like a legendary in like just a regular play booster box, or is it like you have to get a commander deck? Sweet. Okay. So I'll probably just get the booster box. That'll be kind of fun too, because then if I like find one, there's that like fun of opening the card and finding it. Oh, we'll do it. Okay. Sweet. All right. I want this thing. But I'm gonna do it now. I'm gonna do it not. I'm gonna think about it. But I'm probably gonna get it. And I probably won't buy on stream because I'd like put in credit card information and stuff, and we don't want to share that. Okay. Back to coding. I have this Heist step. And right now my guess is on trigger enter. Let's move this to a different screen and do that one. No, I went back to my old layout and I'm trying to make sure I remember it. Okay, so yeah, right now, basically on collision, just everything happens, but we don't want that. We want on collision to pop open the pop-up, and if you win the mini game, then all the good stuff happens. So we'll break this thing out, and we'll do. It's only ultimately going to be probably a network call that makes the win happen. Actually, no, it's not true. I don't know if I'm going to want this public or private. Let's start private. We can make it public later. Award objective. And then we'll make a bool called did win because I could see like because either way when the thing closes we might need to do some handling of the objective, like maybe resetting some values or something. Okay, if did win, some stuff will happen. This tea is good. I feel like I don't feel sleepy, but I also don't feel like wired. So I need to do tea more often. It never sounds that appealing to me because like I'm such an energy drink person, and energy drinks have kind of a sugary effect too. So it's almost like, oh, you get a sweet little candy treat. But yeah, tea is working tonight. Okay, so award objective, almost all this stuff is going to go in there. In fact, let's just literally put it all in there because this is just when you win, before you'd hit it and you win. We do need, this is what collide. Okay, actually I lied. We have to pull that back a little bit. Because anything that says other. Raccoons get tea. They could go into like a tea house and like steal the tea. Why do we need so much information on who arrived? What are we doing with it? We are getting who ran into it and sorry, the class of the player and their ID. Why do we need that? Why? Oh, okay. I think this was to pop up the objective exclusively for the player who hit it. I don't think we're doing that anymore. But I think it's probably a good idea just to track it just in case we later want to do something with it. So let's pass the player ID and class just because we might want it later. So I'm trying to think of the name of what you'd call the raccoon that is the one who initiated the objective. Player raccoon initiator ID. Sure. And then we also want raccoon initiator class, and that would be player class type. Oh, activating player. I like that. Yeah. Activating player ID. Activating player class. Player class. Okay. And then now you can't. Well, yes, you could. But we would have to then, there would just be more lines of code in this function. I think for now I'm going to leave them separate. But yeah, because with their ID, you could search for them, find their class. But it would also be maybe a little more expensive because we have to then search for every player. So iterate through every single player, find their ID, but we already have it. So I think it's easier just to pass it because we're getting it here. Because we get it on the collision. Okay, so when they collide, if objective's complete, we just do nothing. We don't care that something collided with it. So then let's call award objective. Well, actually, no, sorry. We're not going to call it there. I guess I'm trying to get it out of, I'm trying to clean this thing out. So I need to figure out what I want to keep in here. This is just checking the mask. So that's important there. Here we are getting the class and the player ID, which I guess we would get regardless. So that's fine. So then, or sorry, yeah, okay. Class of object. So then this is saying like, hey, if they're allowed to hit this thing, we will trigger it. So that's fair. So basically this is when like this logic actually does some stuff. So now here we would say like pop up object minigame would happen there. But this stuff is if we win, maybe, hold on just a second here, because constant force. So actually we're pausing the raccoon. So actually we still want to do this actually. I think maybe the only thing that we need to move out is objective complete. Because all this is all freezing the raccoon in place. This is where like code commenting would have been helpful. Freeze raccoon in place. Okay. And so really all that does is just let them not hit it again. I'm wondering what it, there must be something that listens for this. So this is a entered heist objective zone. I think we're going to need a new, we're going to have to follow this all the way down the path, but I think we're going to need a new command here. Because I think I'm using this actually as like a win, and we don't want to do the win. Player enters heist objective. Okay, so we need to find everyone that listens to this event and okay. Oh, okay. Well, that's already working, right? Okay, maybe. It probably is good to extract that out. Yeah, I'll probably do that. That's a good idea. I swear like Visual Studio doesn't always go back where it came from when I hit back. I'll just have to find it. And really, I should put that function in the raccoon's movement script when we freeze them. That would be the right thing to do. And there might already be something in there. So like, yeah. But yeah, this is, I want to be quick and not necessarily worry too much about that. Avoid freeze raccoon. And we could probably use this to unfreeze them as well. No, you're right. I mean, it really should be extracted out. It's just like that's like I think this level makes sense for just readability because it did take me way too long to like make sense of this block of code. But I do think that going further and like putting it into like making sure it exists in the movement code script would be more refactoring than I want to do now. I haven't done one of these today. Yeah. I do get right, freeze right. Okay, so we're going to pass if it is frozen, and then it's also going to need the game object. Raccoon to freeze. Okay, so we'll say true, and it would be other.game object. Okay, so we will say if is frozen. Sometimes, like, I see a lot of people do things like right now we're passing this bool, so we could just say like its value is frozen or not is frozen, but I think it's harder to read. Like constant force enabled is not opposite of is frozen. Like I just think mentally that's like hard to make sense of. So even though this is like way more lines of code, I think it's more readable. We don't need to set those at 0 again. Basically now we're just turning back on the force. What is this one? Step completion icon. Oh, that we don't need. Oh, so it's not a lot more lines of code. It's two lines of code. So actually that's fine. Okay. So now we freeze the raccoon there. We're going to eventually unfreeze it somewhere, which will let us hit these 2 lines. In fact, I think we'll do it on the win state. So whether or not we won or lose, the raccoon is going to get released. Or unfrozen. We do need to figure out the player. It has constant force, yeah. So like they have a an object on it, or a component called constant force, and it basically is like a fake gravity, and it's disabled when we freeze them, but it doesn't like make the value 0. It just like toggles it off, and then so when we turn it back on, that value starts pushing again. So yeah, should unfreeze them. I think we are going to need to. We could pass the game object, but I think this might come through the network, so I think we're going to have to loop through our players, which I think I do somewhere else just for the sake of speed. I'm going to search for this. I think all players is probably what I would have called it somewhere else where I search for every player. It'd be good to have like a static class that I could just find all players. Didn't call it all players. Okay, we'll just say players. Oh, wait, okay, maybe it's not as fast for... Okay, yeah, at this point, it's easier just to write it from scratch. Where is my class? I need to pin this thing so it doesn't keep getting lost. You are getting pinned. Okay. Oh yeah, that's what I was gonna do. Okay, so we'll say players. Well, let's play back gyro movement. An array. We'll call it players. All players. The reason I don't have it as a static function is just because I don't have a good place in my architecture for static functions right now. So equals find all, or things find objects of as a by type, and it would be playback gyro movement Is it this one they deprecated? Oh, it wants a sort mode. I always forget. Oh yeah, this is the one where it like asks for sort mode, and I can never remember. This search will help me find it. The sort mode that I use. There we are. And then yeah, this is what I was looking for. Okay. So now, yeah, it's find object sort mode. Okay. Now we're searching through all of those, and we want to say if player dot player ID is equal to activating player ID. So basically, if this is the player who activated it, so at the end of it, we need to release them. This would be player.gameObject. Cool. Okay. Perfect. So no matter what, at the end, if you win or lose, we will unfreeze the raccoon and let it continue its rolling to get more points or whatever you might want. We could just like kill the raccoon and be like, hey, if you get the objective, that was its entire life. But I think it'd be fun to like see it play out further. Okay, I think we may as well, just for good measure, set this to false here. We shouldn't need to, but I think just again for readability, I like to see if they didn't win, the objective is not considered complete, which means that they could re-trigger this. Now, hopefully it wouldn't, because on trigger enter, not on trigger stay. So I'm hoping it won't call it twice. Where is... okay. My brain went somewhere else for like 5 minutes, and then I was like, yeah, I gotta speak words. No, I was just checking the Discord, making sure that that it posted, and then I noticed that like it adds that little just chatting thing in the header, which is kind of fun. So yeah, interesting. I still need to start using Blue Sky to like promote and whatnot. So far, the only place that I post that this is live is the automatic post in our GDOD server. So we need to work on getting the word out. So okay, so back to this. We need to pop up the mini game. This one should be pretty straightforward. We just need a reference to that canvas. Now, what sucks about that is there is a lot of the, well, not a lot. There's numerous trigger zones. So I don't love the idea of having to go in Inspector and assign the canvas to every one of these by hand. I do have thoughts on the state of the game industry, but we'll save those for another time. Only just because I want to get this. Will that bring people in the drama? Okay. Pop a mini game. Okay, so I need to find a way to find it. To find that canvas. Is there any unique logic on that object? I think there's a game object called minigame handler or something like that, which should have a reference to the canvas. Let's pop over to Unity and see if we can find that. Logic, minigame logic. Okay, so yeah, we have minigame pop-up handler. So I think we'll find that because that has a reference to all the stuff that we would need. That'd be hilarious if I get banned off Twitch. Just because like I'm new to streaming, and like, yeah, that'd be funny if they're like, no, you're dangerous. It's like I'm just a guy. I'm just here. No, I don't think I have any like weird opinions. It's just things are rough out there right now. Lots of studio closures stuff. Private mini game pop-up handler. And then we will just find it on start. I'm using find a lot. Like normally I don't architect my stuff with find so frequently, but this project I've been doing it everywhere. And I'm starting to like appreciate the value of it a little more. I still think it's a little messy because one, it takes resources to go through every game object. Like it has to iterate all your scene, which can take some time. But I mean, if it only happens once, then it's just like, okay, maybe your first loading time is a little slow. That's not really a big concern for me. The other though is like it's not super protected against like null references. So it has some problems there that need to be in production code would need to be fixed. Find object of type. I think just first. I think that one works well. Find first, because then also that's a little faster too, right? Once it finds it, it's like cool. I don't need to keep iterating anymore. Okay, so now we have a reference to that, which is awesome. And now we can pop up our minigame. Though I don't know if there's a function that does that. Let's see. There isn't, but I could just directly tell it to. I don't love that idea though, because that's harder to stack trace. So let's make a little function called public void toggle mini game canvas. Cool. Open. If open canvas mini game canvas dot enabled equals true, else. Cool. All right, so now at least I can see when this happens. Now with that said, I think somewhere else in the script I'm already doing it, so I might as well have everyone use this function. Toggle mini game canvas true. Cool. All right. It's not really a toggle, I guess. It's more like set, but that's all right. But we do boom, boom, boom. Let's also pin you, and let's go back here. Let's do minigame canvas to true. We turn it on, and then it turns itself off when its timer ends. I did just realize though that doesn't set the values. So right now, start minigame does a few other things. So I think we might want to say enable minigame actually instead of toggle canvas on our Heist trigger zone. So yeah, we're not toggling, we're enabling the minigame. What does it need? Oh, it needs nothing. It's just like, hey, I know what to do. All right, so pop-up minigame, freeze a raccoon. We let the server know that this player has entered, which I actually don't even know why we're necessarily informing. Oh, it's because all of the individual mobile devices need that pop-up to say like player minigame. Okay. And then it does need to know to close the minigame. That's the other thing, which I think is on our to-do list. So objective pop-up modal and not award completion. So let's test it. I mean, we just did that, or we just did it, but let's make sure it actually works. I'm trying to think when the timer gets to 0. like, so no, actually, hold on. No one ever calls a ward objective. So what'll happen, I guess what we can test is, does the pop-up when the player hits it? But it'd be nice if we could do a fail state as well. Just so we could test this releasing the player. I could just, so that would be when the timer hits 0. We need to call that. I'm trying to think of the best way to do that. We could do an event that we listened for. Where is, here's our pop-up handler. So yeah, right now, this is basically the end of a turn. So this is where we'd release our raccoon and whatnot. Because we don't necessarily want to look for every single heist objective. We could, I mean, there's probably going to be 3 per level, so it's not like the hugest thing, but I don't love it. I think I'll do an event. I don't do a lot of events in scripts for Unity. I think I did one somewhere else recently, but I can't remember how I set it up. I think it's Unity. You know, I'm gonna find my Unity event. Yeah, okay. So here's where I did it before. So I had to rely a little bit on some Googling and ChatGPT to get this one. I didn't, because it's trying to pass a very specific argument through the event. We don't need to do that. So I actually don't know if that's necessary. I think that one is going to be over engineering if we do it that way. So let's try getting some help from computers. Chrome. Okay. So we can just say I want an event called when do we want it? Called when pop up modal. Event called at the end of pop up when modal coroutine. It doesn't need to pass. Does it need to pass any parameters? Because I'm trying to think if it needs to pass the player ID. It does. Why didn't you? Let my dog in a sec. Okay. He tried to lure me out with toys. Yeah, so when we call a word objective, we need things about the player. So now before we think we might get that from the trigger enter, but now I'm thinking none of that is actually right. Like we don't. Oh, now he wants to use the restroom. All right, be right back. Dog time. Okay, back. And I also made a stop to get sour worms, because sour worms are awesome. And also super unhealthy. Okay, so thinking through this, all of our logic is going to need to be, or all of our references to the player, we're going to need to send that through the pop-up handler, I think. Because this is when we know we've won or lost. And so we would pass the event. I guess the objective could like have a bool that's like is holding player, and then all objectives could get the event that a minigame has been completed, and if they're holding a player, then they would release. That's one option. But the problem is the minigame pop-up isn't attached to a player. It has no sense of player. Though we could give it, hold on. We could totally give it a player. I don't know why I didn't think of this before. Okay, so what we can do, let's do the right thing and like make a class so it's easy to just stack trace this. Like void assign player who activated. Sweet. Okay, so now we can call that from our trigger zone. So the moment we hit a trigger, yeah, we don't need. Oh, but there's also the skill interaction. Okay. So let's instead, because there's two different things that hold that information. Let's instead just have two ints. Well, technically the other one's a player class, not an int. Could be stored as an int though, because it's just a enumerator. Okay, I've already eaten like way too many of these sour worms. Activating player class. Okay, so now when we assign this, we will send player ID. And then we have activating. Okay. I don't know why it bothers me to put those in different order than they come in, so there we go. Okay, so now going back to the trigger zone, we can put this here. Uh, bu- 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 so, player who activated, and then now we can do player ID and class of object. That was a weird name that I gave it. Class of object is a player class. It makes me think of that it's like a C# class, but whatever. Why am I doing it that way? There we go. Okay. So now the pop-up handler knows who called it, which is important because now in the pop-up handler, when the game ends, it can send an event that has the player that it needs to release. Which I'm wondering if we should just take out of the trigger zone entirely. Is there any reason? Oh, because the freeze raccoon's in there. Yeah, that's fine. Okay. That way we don't have to put that logic twice. Okay, so back to where we were. Now that we have that, we can ask ChatGPT. I want to call an event at the end of pop-up win coroutine. It should pass an int player ID and a player class. And the player's class. Player class. Enum. That is in. Yeah. Specifically, I guess it should call or it should pass an int activating player ID and the player's class activating player class. Oh, do not save. Okay, let's see what it does. Okay. God, I'm sure I was like, there's so many using. Like, I don't think we actually need all those namespaces, all those references in there. Why is it way more? What did it add that? It added like a ton that I do not have in mine. That's weird. Okay, whatever. This is the minigame event. Oh, they made. Oh, I see. Okay, they make this new class. So that does seem to be the structure of it. When you want to make like a custom event, you make a class, and that way you can decide like what is in the event. This is under pop-up handler. And then presumably that event is somewhere in this. So put that there. And then we call it somewhere, right? Did it not? Oh, interesting. Oh, because it gives it a name on minigame finish. That's why I couldn't find it. Okay. This is at the end here. Okay. And now we need another class to listen for it. Okay, add a listener for this event, which I'm pretty sure I know how to do, but I'm just want to stick with let it finish the full solution. A listener for this event onto this script. Yeah, I think it's just on enable, you add listener. And it has a function attached to it. Let's see. Yep. Okay. It looks like it does. Yeah, okay. Do we have a reference to the class already? Oh, do I not have an on enabled? That's weird. High step trigger zone. It must have been like pulling from an old example of the script because it gave me something on enabled that was not in the script, which is weird. Like, yeah, like why? I don't know why I thought that needed to be there. It does not. This needs to be its own method. I'll be right back. Back. My son and his friend were looking for some food in the fridge, so okay, so back to here. Okay, so when this is thrown, it's funny, it says argument one. Let's call this player ID, and this should be player class. Okay, so when the game is finished, we then would unfreeze the raccoon. I thought I already had somewhere that calls that. Yeah, award objective. We need to pass if they won or not as well. So hold on, let's go back to our event. And let's make our class also have bool. Can I do that? I think I can do that. Mini finished. And then we need the bool if they won or not. So it would be did win. So we just pass that. If it's true, they won. Sweet. That feels good. And then here, this needs to be bool did win. Okay, so now we can call award objective, which in theory could all live in this minigame finish, but I like to have my event calls like not really have any logic in them, so that way I can have other things call the same logic if I need to, because these require very specific arguments. That comes kind of from also the quantum classes have a very specific argument you have to pass. Okay. Looks like I never used the class at all anywhere, but that's fine. We'll keep it there anyway. Maybe I'll use it later, and then I'd have to re-add it, which would be annoying. Okay, so in theory, when the game finishes, why is this layer mask unhappy? Oh, it doesn't know which one it is. I think it's a Unity engine. Unity engine dot layer mask. Okay. Oh, this. I don't know what that is, but there we go. Yeah, so what should happen is once the minigame ends, it should throw that event that we're listening to, this pop-up handler, and it will call minigame finished, and it will let us know who's the related player and if they won or not. And whether they won or not won't really matter because that's just, there's not much happening here. But we will unfreeze the raccoon. I was just thinking, where are we doing the check mark? I guess that's here, step completion icon. Okay, so we don't want to do that there because that's only if they actually win. So there we go. And then again, just to be thorough, let's make it false. Really, neither of these should need, because this default state should be false, but yeah. And again, we could do the did win. It just equals did win if we wanted to have less lines of code. Cool. I'm pretty happy with that. I think that should work. Let's go ahead and test it. We'll want to move an objective like right in front of a spawn point just to make that simple. Okay. So we'll just slide you on over and put you right in front of number 4 for now. All right, so what we should see is we should see the pop-up show up. We'll let the time run out, so we'll fail. I should have probably set the number lower. And then after we fail, then we should see the pop-up close, and then the raccoon continue to roll. All right, so we are going to drop. Sweet, that's great. I think I triggered it a couple times because I don't know if you noticed, but like it kind of freaked out at the top there. I can live with that bug for now. Gives the players like a few more moments to collect themselves. I'm not pausing the game time. We can just see that like the time is counting down up there and it's trying to call the next person's turn. In fact, it did call the next person's turn. So we will have to fix that. Okay, I got to set this time to something smaller so we can test this more effectively. I'm going to make a note too, though, that we need to... oh, no, I actually already have that. Need to pause game manager. Okay. My whole game manager script needs to be refactored pretty badly. But I'm hoping I can get out of pre-production with it being the way it is. What was I doing? Oh, yeah, setting the value way lower. So that's in... Where is that in? That would be in game rules, I think, which is under logic. Minigame logic. Okay, time to complete task is 90 seconds. Let's set it to like 10 seconds. Okay. Hit relaunch. Hit that. Yeah, we can see it freaking out at the top. I might fix that. We'll see. We'll get everything else working and then I'll decide if I want to fix that or not. And when this time closes, it should remove this. We failed. And then, okay, so now our force did not get reactivated. So that's interesting. It looks like I do see a null ref. Let's see what that null ref is. Okay. So something in this line. So it either couldn't find the pop-up handler or, well, yeah, I don't know what else it could be. Well, no, if it, if that was null, then it wouldn't have ran this. Why is it a null reference? Minigame finished. So yeah, it invoked it here, which ultimately, I guess I don't know timing wise if this happened. I think we need to put some prints. If that's on enabled, we get the listener. Now, is it possible that there's like a race condition? I'm gonna say if it's null, then let's go get it, right? So like, I guess we don't want else because then it would not subscribe. So we would just want, if it's null, then go find it. And then the next thing it'll do is it'll add the listener. Let's put some prints though. So let's say print mini game finished event received. And then let's make sure it's actually being triggered over here. So I don't know why this needs a check if it's null. Mini game finished event called. Okay, let's try that out. See if either of those go through. Let's see how this goes. Okay, waiting for this to expire. Okay, I don't think it called any of those, which is interesting. So we would have wanted it to call minigame finished event called. Yeah, it did not. Okay. So there's something with this event setup that is not working right. So there should be a public event called minigame finished. And this is in the minigame pop-up handler. Now it's kind of odd is when I go over to here, I don't see that as like an event in the inspector. I wonder if I left it to 2. I wonder if that makes a difference. Oh, what the heck? I wonder where your Pedro command didn't work. Or did it? Maybe I just didn't, I was looking at the wrong time. Yeah, mine did a little dance, dude. That's weird. Bad raccoon. Yeah, I actually am kind of confused as to why we're not seeing now. I don't understand how the event could be null, but it seems like that's the case. But it's just an event. Like, I don't understand. I'm going to try it again now that we're not doing the null check. And my guess is it's going to say it is null. And then it won't work. But let's just see what happens. Okay. Spawn in. Watch the thing. Wait for it to hit the end. Okay, so I got some useful logs that time. So we got, where'd it go? We did get this unassigned thing, but that's fine because that was before, and that was just spamming. One interesting thing is there's 102 calls on that. So we are calling like this trigger enter like a lot. So we might have to fix that. But then we have a null ref right after that. So we do get that, and then we invoke properly, because if we didn't invoke, this other script wouldn't. Oh no, actually, hold on. Interesting. Okay. So yeah, so we print that line, and then on this line, we are getting a null ref. So let me see if I'm just doing something dumb. Let's check. I'm getting, let's see, I'm getting a null ref on the invoke call for my event. You know why. Like I've used a lot of Unity events like built in Inspector where you can like assign things, but I don't need to assign anything in Inspector. No representates to never assigned in an instance. It says that like, oh, you could wrap your invoke on a null check, but then it's not going to be called. Like I need it called. Let's try the awake method here. So I don't, yeah, this is so weird. Like, I don't understand why you would check if it's null. Like, you would just assign it. And I also don't understand why, like, do we need to just do this? Like, would that fix it? I'm kind of tempted to just get rid of this and just assign it that way. Let's try this first. I also don't know why this needs to be public, maybe because we listened for that event. Actually, yeah, that's probably why. Let's try that. If that doesn't work, we'll add it to awake and try that. Okay, coming up to see the logs. Hey, okay. Good. So that did something different, which something different's good when we're having bugs. My guess is what's happening is we're triggering that thing on and off, on and off, on and off. So we need to fix that, but I want to make sure we received our minigame finished event. We did, and actually only called it once, which is encouraging. I didn't get to see if the player kept going because the thing kept popping up. So I think we need to find a way to make sure we only call that on trigger enter once. So right now, if we've completed the objective, we don't keep calling it. But I think we need to have maybe another that's just like mini game open or something like that. Or an on trigger exit, because once the minigame closes, it's going to trigger it again for whatever reason. I don't know why. All right, let's try putting a few flags just to protect it. All right, so minigame open. So I think we should immediately set minigame open equals true. And then, yeah, if, say, or minigame is open, we return. And then I don't think we would ever not open it here. But I guess just to make it more visually clear, let's keep this with the pop-up minigame, right? Minigame is now open. Do I need any of this anymore? I guess any class of object, because that decides if we can actually interact with this. Though right now, any class can do it, but I think we should leave it. The only downside is like basically it's going to do get components a whole bunch, which actually is kind of expensive. So maybe we should just go ahead and put it up here. Oh wait, no, I'm dumb. Because the first, yeah, once it opens, then it will skip all this. So if it keeps failing to, so I guess if this fails, it will keep doing this, but that should be pretty unlikely. Okay, let's see. Where were we? Okay. Now we need to set it off at some point. Award objective. So here we would say minigame is open is false. And we'll see if that works. I don't think it will. I think we're going to need to do like an on trigger exit thing. But let's just see if this works for us. Monster Hunter Wilds is coming out soon. I actually like barely played the Monster Hunter series. I think I played like an old one when it was like well past its prime, and it felt pretty empty, and I just never got into it. But I could see the appeal. Basically just boss fights, lots of boss fights. Okay. We're testing. That's what we're doing. Okay. Right now, there's like a long time to get your first character in because there's like voiceover happening, which I have muted right now, and then a countdown, and so yeah, it's a little slow going. All right, let's drop this in. Let's see if we don't see the flicker. Cool, we didn't see the flicker. That's a good sign. Let's see if it goes away and stays away. It does not. Okay. Yeah, and you can see I kept re-triggering it. That's so weird because it's on trigger enter, not on trigger stay. So it shouldn't, like, I don't know why I'm like exiting and entering. I don't know if I'm turning it off somewhere. Trying to think what else is on this heist step. Maybe there's something else on here that is like animating the trigger zone, because I just don't see why it would keep calling enter. We have this world event trigger, which might animate some stuff, potentially. We could turn that off as a test. We have the score object, which could also be it. Let's turn both of those off. I think they both actually have potential to be the problem. And let's do a test. And if it still happens, then we just need to write more code protection in, but it really shouldn't be happening. The score thing has this weird displacement logic where I'm like childing and parenting and moving some stuff around. And so that could be it. The other one plays an animation, and that animation could be the problem. So, all right, let's check it out. We hit once. Let's see. Nope. That is crazy. I don't understand why I would do that. I'm going to watch it from here because I can see the collider. Yeah, what the heck? That is crazy. That is so weird. Okay, whatever. What I'm worried about is on trigger exit might not be calling properly if on trigger enter is not being called properly. Oh, yes. Sorry. No epilepsy warning. Yeah, that is so weird. Okay, well, let's just try an on trigger exit call, which will basically free the trigger zone back up. What I might do is I'll just like turn the trigger off while someone's after someone's activated, and I'll turn it back. Well, no, we can't turn it back on after they exit, because if it's off, there will be no exit command. Okay, let's do on trigger exit. We can do it another way, but that, yeah. On trigger exit. And we will say, if it's not the player layer, then we just don't do anything, because we don't want like other random objects messing with it. Okay. So on trigger X, actually, hold on. Let me close my door real quick. You find enough stuff? You brought that thing. I'm doing a stream right now. All right. Okay, so on trigger exit, what do we need to do? I think we need to flip a bool that is going to protect it. In fact, maybe we'll just do minigame open. Well, I don't like that because that's not what that is. Like another flag. This is bad. We'll say player is in trigger. Okay. So we will set players in trigger to true right here. Oops, I'm not on the right screen. Equals true. And then on trigger exit equals false. And we'll say if the minigame is open, player is in trigger, or objective is complete. We do not do anything in here. Okay, let's try that. I'm not super confident just because if it's miscalling or what seems, it's almost always user error, but it seems like it's miscalling on trigger enter. And so that makes me think on trigger exit might be equally buggy. Because there's a function called on trigger stay that calls every time while you're colliding, like within collision overlaps, but on trigger enter should only call the one time you enter, and I'm not moving the character around, and I disabled the two classes that I thought could be causing the problem. So very weird. All right, let's see how it goes. Should have probably put like a print or something, so I could see if it calls on trigger exit a bunch. No, why is it still doing that? Okay, we're gonna have to dig a little deeper here. So if we look at the inspector, the console, we can see that we're getting 102 null ref calls. Oh, well, actually that's because I disabled that object. That goes through on trigger enter 102 times. Why is it triggering that many times? We can see that this minigame event was called 101 times. And the event minigame finish was received 606 times. So I'm guessing maybe there's like 6 heist trigger zones. Could there be like multiple triggers in this one? Let's see. First of all, I should turn those back on because that didn't help. It doesn't seem like it. It seems like that's the one. Yeah, that seems fine. I've never had so much problems with trigger zones. I'm sure there's a dumb user error that I'm just like not thinking through. Maybe there's like some weird recursive thing that I'm doing and I just need to figure out where it's at. So I could turn off the box collider and then it should just not trigger anything. Maybe multiple of these react to the trigger enter, and maybe that, I mean, I don't see why that would be a problem. Well, shit, since I turned it off, I like disabled those. So weird. I'm tempted to like remove these scripts entirely just to make sure, because sometimes even if you disable them, there's like weird stuff that runs anyhow. I'm going to try that just to see. I'm going to remove both of these components and just see what happens. This is really weird. I've never seen a trigger have this much. In fact, I've actually tried to do similar things on purpose where I wanted to re-trigger on trigger enter, and it's been hard for me to make that happen. And now it's the opposite problem where it's keeps calling trigger enter. I tried to do a thing where like it would shrink and then scale back up really fast, and that didn't really work consistently. I'm watching here, see what happens. Yep, it's doing it again. So we can see it calls it 102 times. All right, let's undo what we did. We want to bring back those. Okay, cool. I'm gonna go back in my script. Let me call on trigger exit. I want to see if it's thinking it exited the trigger. And then that way I can see if that's being called a bunch or if it never exits. To call on enter, it should have to exit before it can enter again. So it probably will. Let's also put this one, enter trigger. That was before any of the logic, right? So this is just in general, how many times do we enter this trigger? And then when we finish a mini game, it's just so weird. We'll figure it out though. It's also surprising that like I wasn't getting, maybe it was and I never noticed, but like I should be getting obscene amounts of scores, right? Like every time I get that, it's supposed to be 1500 and it's supposed to be called 100 times. I don't think I'm getting that many points. So that's kind of odd. Maybe I have some protections further down the line that like prevent it from being called that rapidly. But I normally don't write those kind of protections unless I find I need them. So it's kind of weird. I've definitely seen more than one score pop up. I guess we can see on this total damage if it goes beyond like 3,000 or 4,000. Okay, I'm going to pause it. So this is before the thing is closed. I was watching here and I saw a bunch of points go up, and we can actually see, or we should be able to see, yeah, 4,500. So that would mean it got called, you know what, 3 times. So 3 times it got called. But I don't think that's all the only time it got called. So I want to see if it called enter trigger. Enter trigger once. Okay. Exited trigger once. Nuh-uh. But okay, I'm going to unpause and see if those print off a bunch more. I don't know. Yeah, you're in the trigger, dude. Okay. I did see, I don't know if y'all caught that, but I did see it, the object pulsing. That's still odd though. Like that pulse shouldn't make it. Okay, hold on. Let's try a couple things. I mean, I've deleted the thing that does that, which is the score, and it still did it. But let's make a bool here that makes it not animate. Public bool animate, don't animate. That way I can leave it false for most of them. It's kind of bad to do a double negative, but I don't want to have to go through and set all my other ones to true. Well, actually, I could just do this. Animate. Well, no, sorry. Let's just do don't animate. Okay, so then where is the do scale? Somewhere in here, it animates the scale. Okay, so here we do some stuff. So I'm going to say if don't animate. So this is all the animation stuff. Actually, you know what we can do? Well, yeah, I'll just put it in here. So this is actually, so if we do animate, then it'll do all that stuff. Otherwise it will not. So I'm going to set it to true on just the objectives because every single peg has an animation on, or like we should animate. So that's why I don't want to do the opposite. All right, so those are set to not animate. I don't think that's it because, well, I thought it was until I destroyed the script and it was still doing the problem. So otherwise I would be pretty confident that was the problem. But let's watch again and see if we see anything weird. It still doesn't seem like it should be 100 times that it enters and exits based on that one scale up and scale down. Okay, we're gonna go into it. We can see it only called the score once. That's good. It did call enter trigger twice. We can see it called that 2 times down there. It says an exit once, which doesn't seem right. Yeah, why? Why are you scoring again? This is just wild. Okay. What else could be causing this behavior? This trigger. Hmm. I should print what is entering the trigger. I don't. I mean, nothing else is moving, so it should be the player. But like, let's just see if it really is the player every time. Just try to get some more information, I guess. All right, so we'll print the name of the thing that entered the trigger. This is just super weird. I've never had this much problems with triggers before. I should also pause it, or like while it's paused, look at the raccoon's collision as well. If I can, well, I guess not while it's paused. I want to see if it animates in a weird way. It's almost like the raccoon's like flying around, even though it's mesh visual mesh renderer. It looks normal. All right, once the raccoon spawns in, I'll try to click on him so I can get both. I think he'll spawn in right below this object. Okay. So now I don't see his collider lit up, unfortunately. Or yeah, I do. It's the little green thing around him. Okay, so it's launch. We still get raccoon entered twice. It is the raccoon, so it probably isn't going to tell us anything. So weird. Everything looked normal. And it's always like looking at what script that calls it. It's always heist trigger zone. The only thing one thing I can think of is like maybe this is just a bug in this version of Unity because sometimes that happens. But that seems like a weird bug that like trigger enter would be called over and over and over and over again. Trying to think of a way around it since we can't use trigger exit. We could just put a delay that like basically the one sec. That there maybe it could be that there's just we put a delay because the second player wouldn't really likely be able to like re-trigger that zone again within a certain amount of time. I don't really like it. It's pretty dumb considering like that's the whole point of on trigger enter and exit is you can track when someone comes in and leaves. I wish we'd come up with something a little bit more graceful than that. I mean, we could track that specific raccoon. Like, it doesn't make sense that I think the same raccoon should be able to keep re-triggering, but there could be some weird edge case where it's like, oh, we have a reverse and it can come back. Now, this isn't the final game, so maybe that's not a big deal. So maybe that would be easiest. We just track, but I don't think we have any unique identifiers on a specific raccoon. So then we'd have to make a unique identifier. So a timer might just be simplest. Then maybe there's like a 5-second delay. It's so sloppy and like random. I guess I could just store a dictionary. Game objects in Unity do have a unique identifier. They have a GUID that I could use, or UID, not GUID. So I guess I'll make that for now. It's dumb, but whatever. Dictionary. No, not. And this would be, I think UIDs are ints, if I'm not mistaken. We don't have the right namespace for this. There we go. So I guess we don't actually need a dictionary. We just need a list of ints. Now I hope when we destroy a game object, we don't maybe get. I'm afraid that like we'll get the same UID recycled because that game object has been destroyed. That's a bit of a concern. Let me Google that actually, or I'll see if AI knows. Unity has UIDs with unique identifiers for our game objects. If a game object is destroyed, is it possible that same UID may be assigned to a new game object in the same play session? Yeah, so it's saying you have to have your own system. Yeah, darn it. That's what I was afraid of. Okay, so we can't do unique identifier because our game objects do get destroyed. Our raccoons who fall off the map get destroyed. And so it would be really annoying if you like go through an objective and you finally did it and it didn't trigger because you had got recycled. So timer it is. Womp, 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 womp. Float. Re-trigger timer. So then on update, we could just have. Do we not have update in here? Nope. Okay. Let's put an update. Okay, so retrigger timer is always going to be counting up, and we will just reset it whenever we can't reset it whenever we enter. Because we reset it when it's going to go to 0 100 times. I think my brain must be like, this should totally work, but now that I'm thinking through it, it's not making sense. Hold on, let's just start typing through it. It'll come to me. So if retrigger timer is greater than, say, 5. Actually, I guess let's do, is it less than 5 return? Now, I was noticing that retrigger timer, on trigger enter, initially it only called once, and then it called an exit. And then after I completed the objective, it seemed like it triggered over and over and over and over again. That was when it called like 100 times, which is interesting because it kind of makes me think somehow my pop-up is affecting that, but I really don't know how it would call a trigger enter from that pop-up. So it's weird. But anyway, so yeah, we're saying, hey, if, and then let's actually put this down here now. It's like, hey, we have so many of these scenes that are like trying to back out. If, hey, we retrigger the timer is less than 5. So if like we just started, we go back here. Now, when do we set this to 0? We would say retrigger timer equals 0. Okay, let's try that. Now that means the exit will keep getting called. What happens in the exit? We just set player is in there to false. So I think I'll just get rid of that actually entirely. We won't use on trigger exit. We actually won't even use player is in trigger, because that no longer is useful. I could put a cap on the retrigger timer too, I suppose, just so it's not counting infinitely up, but whatever. Let's see if this works. I wish I knew what I did to break it, or if it's an engine bug, but I'm sure I'm just doing something wrong. All right, we'll launch in. I realize 5 is way too short because 5 is already up because this is a 10-second timer. But maybe it'll only retrigger once. Okay. Okay, good stuff. Now, but here is a thing that we should keep an eye out. Minigame finish event was called 714 times. So we need to make sure that this event only happens. Where is the invoke? This the listener? Yeah, where's the invoke? So that's interesting. That makes me think this pop-up win modal is maybe being called a whole bunch. Let's see. Do we have the fail? What? That's weird. I got a OBS Studio disconnect reconnecting. Oh yeah, that was weird. I don't know how long I dropped there for a second, but OBS lost the signal. Reconnected on its own though, so that's good. But yeah, the I'm getting 7 minigame finished event received. Now, I don't think 700 is as important as, because there's just multiple objectives, so they're all listening. But this minigame finished event is called 102 times. So I'm almost thinking somehow this is what trickled down to the other problem. Yeah, I'm actually now, yeah, well, I don't know. That still, the trigger thing's still weird. But this seems more likely like, okay, I'm doing something wrong here. We can find this though. Okay, so this gets called 102 times. Then, oh yeah, here was the weird part that threw me off. Is this and neither of these are printing. Oh, because they're not prints. I'm dumb. Okay. Okay, but this, yeah, this is called 102 times. Where does this? Oh. Yeah, of course it does, because it's over 0.75 for a long time. So we need some kind of value that, or some kind of flag that lets us know we don't need to keep tracking, which I bet is already in here somewhere. Task is active. So yeah, we set the task active to false. Now, who cares about task is active? Okay, yeah, so the fill amount cares about task is active, but we should set it to, I'm actually trying to think before, words are hard. It's being turned off at, like, set at the right time, but maybe we want to give it sooner, or we want to come up with another flag. Because what we need to do is we need to say that we do not call this coroutine over and over and over again when it's over 75.75. Where else? I think I saw this thing called some one other place. Where was the other place? On a fixed update, task timer, task time value is greater than 0. Okay, this is the fail state. So actually this is the one that's causing us problems. I think the other one would equally have problems though. So the moment it hits 0, it calls this coroutine, but then it needs to stop. Like, it needs to, task active is false. I think we do this here, right? So we don't wait 2 seconds. We do it immediately. And then we need to make sure that, so yeah, okay. So I think that's what happens. We get 100 calls before those 2 seconds passed, and then it says task is active as false. We also should do that in the when state though here. And task is active. So yeah, we only will call this if task is active. Because right now this would keep getting filled up. And all we want to know is that we won once. Okay. So that should fix the 100 calls there. I don't think that's related to the collision though. Does this do anything with collisions? Yeah, I don't. Get finished. Heist up trigger zone. Award objective. Do we do anything here with, we do freeze the raccoon. Oh, y'all, I think I found it. It's possible that setting it kinematic to true false 100 times is the problem. I think it was. Okay, so let's go ahead and turn off that timer thing, because that was just gross anyway, and see if this is fixed now. So let's get rid of this trigger timer entirely. I don't want you. And if this works, then I'll delete it, but just comment you out for now. Okay, I think that was a problem. Like I said, it's like almost always user error. It's easy to blame the tools and assume there's like some problem with the engine, but now I'm pretty confident that was it. Yeah, I didn't consider that that window was turning was sending through the event that like it could turn on and off kinematic really fast, which would potentially cause you to enter and exit the trigger. But that's good to know for the future. If I ever want to play with that, I can just toggle kinematic on and off, and I can re-trigger a trigger zone. Let's go here. Actually, I don't know. Yeah, we'll do the game screen. All right, we drop in. We get this little thingy here. Cool, cool, cool. That's fine. Failed, and then we should just roll. Ooh, it did pop back up. It's not 100 times though. It looks like it is 7. I mean, I guess that kind of makes sense though, because potentially makes sense because we are still turning it off and back on once, right? So like it went kinematic and then it went unkinematic. And so that, even though it's a single time, it's enough to retrigger it once. Hey, what's up? Welcome in, Brain Dead. Okay, so that's good though. We found the problem. Now we just have to figure out how we want to solve this problem. So it's all in setting this kinematic. Now maybe we don't toggle that for freezing the raccoon. It's like not really necessary. It's just like extra caution. Because if something else bumps into him and he's not kinematic, he can get shoved around. We could do, I think, like freeze position, I think. Yeah, we could do, I think there's freeze rotation. But yeah, the problem is that once we unfreeze the raccoon, he now re-triggers that zone. We could put back on the delay. It's not a great solution, but it would work. We could try our luck and just not have the kinematic and just hope nothing bumps into him, which is fairly plausible. But it could be like another raccoon. I could see like it's in a bunch of like you get multi-ball and like they're still bouncing around, and that could be kind of a weird experience. I was thinking the zones have a memory of who triggered it. The challenge is they don't have unique identifiers. The raccoons have player IDs, but it's like if you're player 1, all your raccoons are number 1. And Unity has the concept of UIDs, unique identifiers. But if the game object is destroyed, that unique identifier goes back into a usable pool. So the raccoons are destroyed if they leave the map. So yeah, that could have been an option. I think I'll put the timer back in. I think the risk is bigger for not turning off its kinematic. I think it's unlikely we'll ever notice a problem with the timer. Because really from a game design standpoint, you don't want to be triggering this on a rapid basis. Like it's a big deal to get an objective. So we'll just do that. I don't like it still, but now at least that I know what the problem is, I'm less bothered by it because I can maybe in the future come up with a better solution. If the UID isn't the odds of collision. I don't know. I don't know like how like if it loops back, right? Like I guess I don't know how it generates them and like how random they are. Yeah, I'm unsure. And there's a very small chance that like because we have the security camera which can reverse your raccoon. So there's a very small chance that, but not a zero chance that you could get the objective, go further down the map, hit a security camera, be reversed, and then re-trigger the objective, and that would actually be a nice a moment. I think that would actually feel cool. Like, oh, I got another chance at it. So I think I'll just do the small time gap, because now it actually can be a very very tiny time gap. Now that I think about it, I think because we only need to block that 1 second of that one moment of retriggering. Anyway, let's find this darn thing. Where is it at? Retrigger timer. Okay. Okay, I do want to make sure that I'm setting it to it really is only going to cause a problem at that last second. So it's really once we reactivate the raccoon that we need to make sure the retrigger is off. So actually it's less about the trigger enter and it's more about the freeze. So the moment we unfreeze the raccoon, like right before it happens, we set the retrigger time to 0. And because it's 0, right before he turns to false, it won't cause a trigger again. So we could even set this to 1, I think. Thinking through that. Because it's on trigger enter. Yeah, it would be right away. Because like the moment his kinematic is turned to true, he immediately enters the trigger. I just read your comment that it's basically, yeah, I could totally use the UIDs. Noted. That is good to know though. Yeah, this could be the smallest fraction of a second, and it would be totally fine. Because yeah, the moment his kinematic gets set to false, he immediately will enter the trigger, and because we just set it to 0, 2 lines of code before, right? There's basically zero time to get through those lines. This will work. In fact, I think I'll even do 0.25 just to, and then here we will just say if, just so we're not endlessly counting something and we hit some like math max weird problem. If retrigger timer is less than 10, I don't know, just to give it some room, but cool. All right, I'm pretty confident this will be fixed now. Pretty confident. I'd say like a 9 out of 10 confident, maybe 8, but pretty confident. Let's try this. Wait for our muted VO to finish and the countdown, and then we can drop in. Doop, doop, doop. All right, we will pull in. We get everyone to complete the heist task. There needs to be a lot more like fanfare when that pops up. It's kind of abrupt. Then Dooku failed. Now this should minimize. We should see our raccoon roll on. Yeah, like that. It worked. That's great. Cool. Okay. Though it does look like our trigger zone still exists, which after we beat a trigger zone, it probably should go away, but it should be set to like I can drop back through it and it shouldn't trigger it. No, why'd you re-trigger? You should have been complete. Oh no, we failed it. No, yeah, actually that's totally right. But the star and stuff went away. So we caught a separate bug basically, because we failed the objective. We need the star and stuff to not go away. So let's figure out what's turning that off. Step complete icon, I'm guessing. So if we did not win, oh, so that should be true. An objective, and then this should be false. Is that it? Is it just backwards? Is it really just one icon for both the circles? That seems wrong. Let's see. I'll go into Unity and see what the references are. The references are... Oh, okay, actually, I that was wrong. Sorry, okay, hold on. I need to fix that. So step complete icon's a little check mark on the UI that's like, you completed an objective. So that is not the right thing. So what the heck turns those off? I don't even see a reference for those. Is it just children? It might be just a children reference, which is so sloppy. Let's do children. No, nothing. Ooh, okay. Something's got to be turning it off. Where is it hiding? Something is... Because there's no reference that I can find, so I thought maybe just going through the transform and any children would be shut off. It must... I bet it's in the animation for the objective. Which seems weird, but that's probably where it's at. And in that case, we do need to think about that, because right now the animation is separate from the heist trigger, which maybe just combining them, it might be the easiest. But if we look, this world event trigger, this is the thing that controls an animation event. I'm thinking maybe the fastest solution, though, is just to have the world event trigger also listen for the on-win event. Let's take a look at this script here. Actually, let's first look at the animation and see if it, in fact, is the... I think this one's leaf blower. Yep. So you can see it turned off on the first frame. I think it's... I mean, the thing is, we don't want it to play this animation. You can see the animation up here. It's a little... The leaf blower breaks down the door, goes flying around. We don't want to play that animation if we don't succeed. So I'm trying to decide if we want to just maybe merge, because this is on trigger enter. So I'm leaning towards we just merge this into the heist manager, honestly. The only thing we would need to do is give it an event type. Let's do it. Worded world event trigger. Okay. Start. Let's bring this over. Okay, and then that's all the same stuff we have already in Heist Manager. We just really need to put that in there now. And this is only on a success. So if we did win, then we play the animation. It looks like we care about the player who entered, which is fine. But we would just need to say here, we should need another if win If did win, then we unfreeze the raccoon. Either way, we unfreeze the raccoon. But if we won, then we start a world event. And here we do need the player.game object. And then destination position. No, that is only used in one world event. Don't really want to bring it over, but whatever. Try not to break things. World events. Destination position. Okay. That's only in the washing machine one, and that's to like launch the raccoon into the washing machine, which isn't one of the objectives, so we can leave the world event unique script on that one. Okay, so then all we have to do is turn off the, remove the world event trigger script from the objectives and make sure we transfer their data over. So now, let's see, it's a leaf blower event. So we just put this here as a leaf blower. And we don't really actually need the destination. And then we just take this off. And we will need to do that for the other objectives as well. There's only 3, so it's not a huge deal. This is shut off lights is what it should be. So we'll change that to shut off lights. Remove this. And then the last objective is knock over boxes. Cool. Okay, so let's try that again. So now this should not remove the star if we fail, and it should not play the leaf blower animation. We couldn't really see it before because it was hidden by the UI. But in fact, actually, just for us to be able to see everything, we can watch both the leaf blower and the star from here. So we'll see this door get knocked down if it does it wrong. Okay, launching. Okay, that looks promising. So then once we fail, which we will because our time is about to run out any second, we'll just keep on going. Excellent. Okay. And we can see that the star stayed there. And it will allow us to have our next player. I can't wait till these are raccoons and not just spheres. There's 4, so now we can re-trigger the objective. Yeah, sweet. Cool. Okay, well, I think that is a good stopping point, and I think I might hit my goal for stream time tonight. At least came close. If not, hold on. Let me pop into my. Oh, I don't have it open. Oh well, we'll see. I'll look afterward. But I think I got 3 hours, or very close. But yeah, so we solved a few things today around those objectives. We had that weird bug where like it kept entering a new trigger zone, and that was because of kinematic. Yeah, so and then we also decided that I'm probably going to spend too much money on Bloomborough magic cards right after this stream. So, but yeah, so next playtest, I'm going to be trying to see how it feels for everybody to do the mini games collectively. We're very close. If we pop back open our to-do list, we did this successfully, which took a lot longer than I thought it would, but there was a lot of little things we had to get working on that. I love the camera zoom now. It like just adds so much more stuff. Oh, that was actually really satisfying. Oh my god, so many multi-balls. That was an amazing run. How many points? I bet they have so many points right now. Yeah, that's probably the highest score I've ever seen. That's a really high score. Anyway, distracting myself. Need to award completion on win. We did do that. So yeah, when you actually win, you would get the win state. Now we didn't test it. We tested fail state, but I'm pretty confident that that's going to work. because we wrote the code to make it work. So we'll have to test it. But yeah, need to pause the game manager while in objective task. We did not do that. And then we need to close the mobile canvas. So on the mobile device, when the objective is complete, we didn't get that done. So these are 2 items that I'll have to do, probably do tomorrow. So that way Monday morning, I'm able to work on like a different thing other than this concept. But yeah, thanks for hanging out, and I'll catch you all.